Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday video. Today we're going to talk about how the policies of the Vice President, should she become the POTUS, will endanger this country to an extent that there will be starvation in the streets. But first, before we start, I want to say that today, the 1st of September, is the very last day that Nutrient Survival will be giving 31% off. So if you haven't taken advantage of the 31% off anything in their store, go to thealaskaprepper.com, which is my website. Click on their page and use the code that's there to save 31% off anything. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact of the matter is this: if the VP actually makes it to become POTUS and enacts some of the policies that she's talking about upon we, the American people, there will be starvation, or we will be as close to starvation as we've ever been in the history of this nation, I would say. The BP is threatening to punish grocery stores for daring to charge more just to cover their costs. And this is a very important subject matter to talk about, because do you want to put yourself or your family in a position where one day you will not be able to provide for them what they need, like food, water, medicine, just the basic things that we need to live? Grocery stores make about 1 to 2% on every dollar, meaning that they have to pass along to you, ladies and gentlemen, the consumer, any input costs that come up that wasn't already there. So obviously we're talking that the VP wants to enact price controls upon grocery stores, and that would be the beginning. Let me go ahead and talk to you about the 3 stages that would occur in short term once price controls are enacted. And this should scare you, ladies and gentlemen, because this is not science fiction. This is proven throughout history that they never work and that these things always happen. Why? It's really simple mathematics. So the first stage would be the government's announced grocery stores can't raise prices even though inflation continues, courtesy of the Fed and Wall Street. That means their costs keep going up as those pennies of profit turn into losses. Like any business that's losing money, they will eventually shut down. And guess who gets shut down first, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, the mom and pop stores, the small stores and low income stores. And then eventually you're going to have food deserts. Why? Because all of these small mom and pop stores that people relied on in their neighborhoods, they're no longer there. They can't afford to operate under price controls. And here it states that the survivors, meaning the stores that survive, they increasingly aren't selling any more food. So they're going to sell less and less food. Why? Because they can't make any money. They lose money when they sell food. So they start selling other stuff like clothes, like furniture, electronics, supplements, things that aren't being price controlled so that they can keep their heads above water. As cities clear of food, you need police patrolling parking lots and armed escorts on delivery trucks. Perhaps you could even have government-run grocery stores just like Chicago announced. Wouldn't that be great? And here for stage 2, they say that the only way to save any grocery store is to price control their input costs, meaning that food producers like Heinz, Kraft, Tyson, Hormel, all of the food producers, they're going to have to be price controlled as well. You see what's happening here, ladies and gentlemen? As food producers downsize or go under, now you start getting actual shortages. And the only solution, once again, is price control. Who? The farmers. Number 3, or the 3rd stage, which brings us to the final stage, because remember, farmers too are now forced to sell at a lower price, yet their inputs like fertilizers and tractors are still going up, and they also go under. You are now a full Venezuela, with the only alternative to starvation is a complete government takeover of the food supply, centrally planned from farmer to grocer. How do you think that's going to go? Well, they tell you the government will struggle to operate one of the most complex industries on the planet. The entire food supply chain starts to implode, and imploding means starvation. What's next? It's very unlikely that we'll get to the point of actual starvation, for the simple reason that at some point the frog boils and the voters or rioters share their thoughts with policymakers. Another thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I didn't highlight off this article is what will happen when price controls actually start and the stores start selling less and less of those foods because they can't afford to sell at a loss. There will be a thriving black market. Oh, that's great. It's still going to be available. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, but at the market price. It will not be the same price as it is in the store. It's going to be a much bigger price, much higher than what it would have been should you have left the system alone. Before we continue, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of seconds. OUPES is going to be having a Labor Day sale that starts tomorrow on the 2nd of September and goes all the way through the 6th. And you're going to be able to save up to $2,400 on some packages, but all of their prices have been discounted. And in addition to their discounted prices, you can still use my discount code to get an additional 5% off. And finishing it off, ladies and gentlemen, the real reason why it is that things go up in price. The Fed's fiat money is the real cause of price inflation. If you've been following me for a while, then you've heard this 1,000 times. And if you have, please share it with someone else. That way they understand why it is that the things that they buy have gone up in price by 1, 2, in some cases 3, 4 times. Inflation as an economic term originally meant the creation of new money and credit, not rising prices. Rising prices is the symptom of inflation. So instead of telling the public, hey, inflation is when the government creates a lot of money out of thin air, nobody earned it into existence, and then they put it into the economy. That's what inflation is. People would be like, wait a minute, why is the government creating all of this money? Making my stuff that I need to live on cost more, but not allowing my salary to go up par. Well, because they don't want you to know that. They want you to think that inflation is just, oh, these greedy... Sorry about that little glitch. I lost connectivity. But anyways, as I was stating, they want you to think that their printing money has nothing to do with the prices of things going up. And they say here, check any hard copy of the Merriam-Webster dictionary printed in the 20th century and see for yourself that they have changed the definition. And I believe that the way they've changed the definition is pretty much saying that inflation is prices going up, instead of saying that inflation is the increase of the money supply. And they don't even get into why was the money supply increase. But that's what inflation is, ladies and gentlemen. When the money supply in the system gets bigger, but the goods and services that you're chasing either stay the same or get smaller. Only the Federal Reserve can cause a general rise in prices, and only when it creates new US dollars that didn't previously exist. That is inflation. So when you hear the words price controls, you need to run. Or better yet, you need to vote against it. Why? Because price controls have never ever worked. Why is it that this administration wants to do all of those things that have been proven throughout history to not work? Why is it that they want to do that to this country? Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. I really hope that you got something out of this. If anything, do a little bit of your own research. Remember that today is the very last day that Nutrient Survival will have that 31% off. And remember that tomorrow on Monday, OUPES is going to have a Labor Day sale where they're going to be giving some really good discounts. And you'll still be able to use my code for an additional 5% off. I hope that you have a great rest of your weekend. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.